everyone, this is Rob from Revelation Rain. I've been meaning to make this video for quite some time, but I wanted to make sure that I had everything prepared because I don't want to miss any points and I want to make sure that this doesn't come off as condescending by any means. But um, most of us are aware, most of us that are in the music business at any level, whether it's at a national level like Kiss or Motley Crue or whomever, all the way down to those of us that are local unsigned bands like Revelation Rain and some other uh, local bands that we've played with. We all know that the business has been upside down for quite some time, especially once digital streaming and downloads came onto the scene. We've seen record sales, whether it's vinyl, CD, whatever, drastically decline to the point where bands don't even make money hardly at all on their recordings. People steal music and they think that's okay because they have this false assumption that they should determine how much money another person makes, that they have a say in how much money is enough for another person to have. And really, that's none of your business. What's in my wallet is none of your business. What's in your wallet is nobody else's business. But anyway, with the digital streaming and downloads, especially when people were downloading stuff for free, has really turned the music business upside down. So bands don't make money off record sales anymore. The only way bands can make money is off their live shows and merchandise. And then, even then, some bands find themselves in these 360 deals, which means that the record company is even taking a percentage of their live shows and their merchandise. That's insane to me. Um, back in the day, it was cool to get a record deal. It was awesome to get a record deal. If Revelation Rain had been around in the 70s and 80s, man, it would have been our goal to get a record deal, to get those advances, that you don't have to pay back and to have that record company support to push your album. But anymore, boy, we would not take a record deal unless it was reminiscent of something from the 70s and 80s. But the current record deals that are being offered from most record companies wouldn't even bat an eye at it. We prefer to stay independent because then we're in control. And whatever we do sell, it's ours. We make that money. So I'm saying all of that to say this. The other thing that kind of turned everything upside down, and I'm not getting political here, we all have our opinions on it. But the fact is, the whole shutdown that happened in 2020 right through 2021 turned everything upside down, not just the music business, not just for bands, but for anyone that owns a business, anyone that runs a business, for people who have jobs. It just turned everything upside down. Okay. And so once everything started to open back up, I understood that for a short while, venues, and I'm talking specifically about the music business again, that venues, uh, places that host bands to come in to play, that it was going to be tough for them to be able to pay bands to an extent because it was a rough couple of years. Businesses had to struggle just to survive, just to stay in business. So I knew that when everything opened back up, it wasn't going to go back to how it was prior to the shutdown. That wasn't going to happen. Everybody needed to take a few steps back and collectively start to rebuild the live show business, especially. So I knew that for a short while, venues were not going to be able to pay a whole lot for bands to come in. But we were okay with that for a short while because we're a band that has a significant amount of merchandise. So we can make money off from our merchandise and still leave a venue feeling pretty good about ourselves. Okay. But we're now 2 years removed from the pandemic, from the shutdown. Um, Venues have had plenty of time to reestablish their footing. And I'm not going to pick on venues too much, although they are to blame too. This whole, well, we can't pay you much, but think of the exposure you'll get. All right. Then, from the band's perspective, I'm going to invite all my friends and family to this show. And you, Mr. Venue owner, I want for you to provide all my friends and family with free food and free drinks. Just think of the exposure you'll get. No, they wouldn't do that. So that's my issue with the venues. Even once we were a year, 2 years removed from the shutdown, they still wanted to play this game of, well, we can't pay you much, but just to give the exposure. No, exposure doesn't pay for the music equipment, for gasoline, for all the time and effort that musicians put into being in a band. And I remember playing shows where the venue was sold out, completely packed, and yet the venue didn't want to give us a dime. The money we made was off our merchandise, which again was substantial, but still, we should have been paid for our services. We should have been paid for playing that show. Now, my main point of contention is with these so-called promoters. There are a million guys out there and gals calling themselves promoters. They have zero experience, zero competency. Their idea of being a promoter is, I'm going to print up some tickets. I'm going to set up a date at this venue. And there, my job's done. They expect, this is what's been happening lately. These promoters, they probably don't even have an actual business. Okay, they're just acting independently. They're con artists for the most part. What they are doing is they get these tickets printed up. They go to venue and say, hey, I'd like to host a show here with 4 or 5 bands. The venue says, okay, fine, but we're not paying anything. And the promoter says, oh, don't worry, we got that covered. Just provide the stage and the lights. We got it covered. All right. So what is a promoter's job? A promoter's job is to promote the show and to pay the bands. That's his or her job. It is the promoter's job to sell tickets. Okay? It's the promoter's job to line up the show, find the venue, make all those arrangements, and then print up tickets, and then promote the show and sell those tickets. It's the band's job to show up with all their equipment, with professionalism, and put on the very best show that they can. But that's not what happens. The promoter will set up a date with the venue, print up some tickets, and then contact bands and say this: we're doing a show here at this venue. If you want to be a part of it, I'll send you 40 tickets. They're $20 each. Sell all those tickets, and you, the band, you keep half. We, the band, $40 tickets, $20 a piece. That's $800. The band gets to keep $400. There's 4 people in the band, so each guy walks away with maybe $100. But you got to remember, you got expenses, gasoline being the big one. But the promoter, who has done nothing but set up the date and print the tickets, he's going to keep half. He gets $400 for doing what? He hasn't promoted the show. It's his job to sell the tickets, not the bands. Bands don't get together to sell tickets. Bands get together to play shows, record albums, and make great music. Okay? It's not the band's job to sell tickets and promote shows. Now, if you're smart, you will promote your own show, obviously, through the various digital streams or the digital platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever else. If you're smart, you'll do that. All right, back in the day before internet, you would go around and hang up posters and do all kinds of stuff to promote your show. If you're smart, you'll do that. But it is the promoter. That's what promote means. It's the promoter's job to push, to get that show out there, to put radio ads up, TV ads, internet ads, whatever you got to do. You're the promoter. It's your job to make sure that people are aware of that show and that they come to that venue to see these bands. It is your job, promoter, to sell tickets. So quit passing the buck and passing it off to the bands and then telling the bands, hey, I know you went out and you sold the tickets, you did promoting, You drove all the way to the venue, you set up your equipment, you played the show, you tore your stuff down, and you went home. So you're going to get half of what the ticket price was. Meanwhile, the promoter, which is probably one guy or one gal, he gets half of the ticket price as well for doing what? Getting some tickets printed? For setting up the date at the venue? I'm just putting this out there. Look, all you local bands, unsigned bands, until we stop allowing that kind of stuff to happen, we will forever be in this position of being the low man on the totem pole, and that is not the way it's supposed to be. It'll always be up to us, the bands, to promote and sell tickets. That is not our job at all. That is the promoter's job. That's why he's called or she's called a promoter, to promote. It's their job to do it. And until we stop playing these stupid games, especially 2 years removed from the shutdown, it will continue to be this way, and bands will make zero. They'll continue to make minimal amount of money for all of our hard work, our travel, the effort we put into this. It's not right. And I'm just saying right now, Revelation Rain will no longer partake in these shows. These promoters will put up a show at venue and have 10 bands. 10 bands. So each band gets 30 minutes to play. So 10 bands, 40 tickets, $20. You do the math, $8,000. The promoter gets half of that. The bands have to split up the other half. Does that sound fair to you? It's not fair. It's not right. That is not how it's supposed to be. We have played shows like that, especially coming right out of the shutdown. We did do some shows like that. We would go to a venue, and it's a mess. You've got 10 bands. They all got their stuff lined up along the wall. The band goes up. They have 15 minutes between sets. You have 15 minutes to get up there, set all your stuff up, play your show for 30 minutes, which means you get maybe 4 or 5 songs, tear all your stuff down, get it off the stage while the other band is hurrying to get their stuff on because there's only 15 minutes in between the sets. You don't even get a sound check most of the time. These are not shows. Okay, this is like a mill. It's like a band mill is all it is. One band on, off. Next one on, off. There's no consideration at all to the quality of the sound or anything else. You usually have some flunky who thinks he's a sound man who's probably doing this for the first time in his life. And you have all this feedback and you can't hear the vocals or the guitar's way too loud or the bass drum is non-existent. It's horrible. And we put up with it for a short while coming out of the shutdown because that's all that was left. And everybody was kind of in on it together. Let's rebuild this thing. But what was supposed to happen is let's rebuild it and then everybody fall back into your roles. Bands, your role is to show up with your equipment, play the best show that you can, entertain that crowd. Venue, it's your job to host this, to have a decent stage, to have a decent sound man, and to promote the show. It's your job too, venue, to help promote the show. You should want people in your venue. That's how you make money. Mr. Promoter, it is especially your job to promote the show. And it's your job to print the tickets and to sell them. Sell the tickets. And what your percentage is supposed to be is at most 10 to 15%. That's why if you're a good promoter, you'll get enough butts in seats, you'll make a good amount of money. But the band should make more, not equal or less than what you're making. Never should that happen, especially 2 years removed from the shutdown. And whatever other local unsigned bands want to do, that's your business. Go ahead and do it. But I'm getting emails all the time from these promoters. Hey, we'd like to have on our show. And it's one of those things, oh, there's going to be 10 or 12 bands, half-hour set. You drive miles to play for 30 minutes and make half on the ticket sale. Rushing in and out, 15 minutes between sets, no sound check, some flunky running the sound. That is not a show. That is not a show. That is a way for a promoter, some con man, to make some quick cash off the backs of every band that plays. And the venue is just as guilty. But I lay it mostly at these so-called promoters because they're just flunkies. Every last one of them, flunkies. There's a couple, I should take that back. There are a couple that are good. And I'll name one in particular. Penny Howard is phenomenal. More Than Fair does a lot for a lot of bands, so I exclude her from this conversation. All right, but the rest of you, and you know who you are because you've contacted me, you've contacted all these other bands, you've done this for a long time. You're basically like siphoning the blood out of every band so that you can put a little money in your pocket with minimal amount of work. You do zero. You do zero. You expect bands to sell tickets. That's not the job of the band. Other bands out there, do what you want to. But Revelation Rain will not partake in that garbage anymore. If we have to, and we've done this before, we will book our own venues and set up our own ticket prices. And if we're going to promote the show and sell tickets, we're going to keep 100% of that. We'll do it ourselves. If that's what it's going to come down to, where we're expected to sell tickets and promote shows, the job of the promoter, then we're going to keep that portion of the money as well. There are plenty of venues out there that bands can work directly with and make so much more money. And it makes much more sense. You don't have 15 bands on one ticket. You can put together a show with 3 bands, which is ideal. You have an opener, your mid-card act, and then your headliner. That's an ideal show. You get 20 to 30 minutes in between sets. Everybody gets to play at least an hour, maybe 45 minutes for the opening band. It just makes more sense. And the bands walk away with some money in their pockets, more than what they had to spend in order to get to the venue. Until more bands do this, this is where you're going to be forever. The promoter isn't going to suddenly get generous and say, oh, you know what? We've been scamming these bands long enough. Let's do the right thing now. That will never, ever happen because they're not even real promoters. Anybody can say they're a promoter. Just print some tickets, line up a show at a venue, and I'm a promoter. No, you're not. You're a con man. You're a hack, a flunky. That's all you are. It won't change until the bands start demanding the proper respect and the proper pay that we deserve. Until that happens, this is what we're left with. This is what we'll be stuck with. And this band, Revelation Rain, won't do it anymore. We've not been playing shows for a while because we've been working on our next album. But until there's a better environment in which to play these shows, until that happens, until more bands actually stand up, actually get a backbone and start demanding what is rightfully theirs, we'll stay out of the scene. It's not like we're going to lose money over this. We won't. We sell just as much merchandise when we're off the road as when we're on the road. In fact, we'll probably come out ahead because now we're not paying gas to drive all over the state to make $25 for a show. Just not going to do it. There are other ways. There are means to put shows together where 2 or 3 bands get together and say, let's put a show together and we'll make an arrangement with whatever venue and we, the bands, will make the money. If we're going to go out there and promote and sell tickets, then we will make a majority of the money. Yes, we'll give some money to the venue for hosting the show, but they can make their money off the food and drinks. That's how it should be. That's how it should go. But if we have to do it alone, we will. If we have to go out there and do it by ourselves, we will. But we're not going to play these games with these small-time promoters where we go out and do all the promoting, sell all the tickets, and then only make half. That is ridiculous. What did the promoter do to deserve half of the ticket sale? Print some tickets? I can print tickets right here on my computer and my printer. Does that warrant getting half the ticket price? No, not at all. And I'm just tired of getting these emails. I get them almost every day. And it's from the same few, 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys, 1 gal, calling themselves a promoter. They're putting a show together. Do we want to be a part of it? All we have to do is sell 40 tickets at $20 a piece, and we get to keep half of it. Wait a minute. I'm doing all the work. Why am I only getting half the money? Not going to do it. You guys are lowlives. You are small-time con men. That's all you are. That's all you are. You act like you have some big business going. You are nothing. You're like a flea market. That's all you are. All right. So we're not going to play the game anymore. We will book our own shows if we have to, or we will stick with the. Like I said, there are a few. I named one, Penny. We'll stick with the promoters that actually do their jobs, that promote the show, sell the tickets, make arrangements with the venue, and pay the bands. Pay the bands fairly. But there's only a few of you. So I'll stay in contact with those few. The rest of you, man, I'm blocking you from my emails. I don't want to hear from you anymore. You're pathetic. You really are. So anyway, other bands, local unsigned bands, you want to put some shows together, some real shows where we all get to make some money, contact me. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing 90% of the work for 10% of the pay. You go ahead and do that. We're not going to. There are other means, there are other ways to put shows together where the band actually walks away with the money that they deserve. All right. All right, everyone. As I mentioned, a little bit off topic, we are currently off the road anyway, working on our next album, which is going to be great. It's going to be phenomenal. We have so many songs. I'm not even sure how we're going to narrow it down to just 10 or 12 tracks, but that's what we'll end up doing. We don't want to do a double album. We could, though. I'm telling you, we have that many good tunes. We could actually do a double record, but we're not going to do that. And I've mentioned it before. I haven't released the artwork yet. I keep teasing it, but I'm waiting till we get closer to the time of album release to show you guys this album cover artwork. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. But again, the name of the record is The Dead in Christ. It's going to be cool. Our first two records were great. This one's going to top both of them, and we can't wait to share it with you guys. And once we have the record out, once it's released, then we will hit the road. Then we'll start doing some shows to promote the record. We'll have all new merchandise put together. We're putting together a brand new stage show. Anyone that's been to a Revelation Rain show knows that we put on a show. All new outfits. It's just going to be all new from top to bottom. Can't wait to go out there. We got it all coming together right now. It's going to be phenomenal. So anyway, guys, have a great day. Take care, and God bless.